everybody. Russell Hill, your host for WTF, and that is What the Fixed Ops. And I'm joined today by.
Hello, everybody. I'm Charity Dunning. I am the co-host here at What the Fixed Ops, and I'm really excited. We have Shawn Butler today, the Fixed Ops Director at Umansky Auto Group. Shawn, thanks for joining us again. This is your second time.
It is. Hello, and thank you for having me again.
Absolutely.
Nice
and not only that, Fixed Ops Institute and many other things. And so I talked to Shawn and we decided this is going to be a little bit different. We're just going to let it roll. But I know a lot of people in this industry, and some of which I'm really close to or closer than I am with others. I'm a relationship guy. But this particular guy is a little bit different. We at least 2 or 3 hours, at least two, if not more, with all the interactions. We know so many of the same people, but I met him in Dave Foy's Fixed Ops Mastermind and Joe and Eric's, Service Drive Live on Sunday morning and other venues, and we got to know each other. And then we had the first live event last year with Service Drive Live, and I got to really get to know Shawn. We got to know each other. It turns out we have a lot of the same type of past, which I'm not ashamed of, and I don't have any regrets because I'm a much better man today than I ever was before. So no regrets for the things I went through, but a lot of it involved doing the wrong things and drugs and alcohol. And Shawn and I just went down this wormhole, and we were talking about sharing our experiences about life and turning points and, wake up calls and things like that. And then I also like, because I am a relationship person, I like to dig in sometimes and get a little deep. I'm an emotional guy, and I tend to do that sometimes. And probably in the near future, you're going to see much more of that. But today, I wanted to set the stage for Shawn. Now, a lot of you know him and the struggles he's been through. And if some of the things I'm saying, I could be wrong a little bit, but in the last 6 or 7 months, he's lost like 65 pounds and had cancer. And I forgot exactly. I mean, I know, but rectal
colorectal cancer, yeah.
Colorectal cancer. Now, look, there was a point in time, and Shawn has always been very transparent in the shows and Zoom calls that we've had, where, hey, he just puts it out there. You either like him or love him, doesn't make any difference. You get what you get with Shawn Butler. And that's so real and so raw. And so I thought, could we have him with all the things and the GoFundMe's and all the things he's been through recently? If I understood also, he had a couple of months to live, that he was, wasn't hiding it. He told all of, the people he's close to, and was very transparent about it. And at one point in time, he needed an operation that would either, the way I understood it again, we'll dig in a little bit here, that would either put off the terminal side of it for a while or completely get over it. But because of how weak he was and how big it had grown, that my understanding was they were afraid to even possibly do the surgery, but it was either that or it was over. And so Katie barred the door. I'm sure there's a lot of prayers involved and a lot of support and love and everything else, but he went through the surgery and came out on the other side. And this is just like a couple of weeks ago. The dude is back at work right now. And I get goosebumps just thinking about it. I really do, because I just get down goosebumps, because I don't know what it's like to have cancer. But I've known some people really close to me, like in the last week and a half, that have passed away from cancer. And when we get involved in planes and trains and automobiles and all the trials and tribulations that happen during the course of the day, and it's like you get this notification and you don't understand why your body's been doing what it is. And next thing you know, you're just losing weight and losing weight and losing weight. And you go to the doctor and you get this prognosis of cancer, terminal cancer. I'll tell you what, it got me really emotional. because I really have a lot of respect and admiration and love for this guy. I know a lot of you out there do as well. And so Shawn agreed to come on. So this isn't about anything other than what's real. Not all the superficial stuff. And we've all had moments, hopefully, if you haven't, you will, where you have these wake up calls or these things that are right in your face and your whole life is disrupted. Shawn, fill us in on the events in your life and your health recently. Would you mind?
Yeah, so I mean, briefly, as I've told everybody, I started having some health issues back first part of the year, first quarter of the year, and they progressively got worse. And I just started losing a bunch of weight because what had happened, I had this blockage that was growing inside of me. Turned out it was a tumor that was growing inside in my rectum area. And you have three bands in your rectum that control the muscle movements and everything. And by the time that the pain finally got so bad that I went to the doctor, this tumor had grown to be the size of a tennis ball and was across all three bands of my rectum. So basically, I had 90 to 100% blockage of my intestines. So because it was so painful to use the bathroom, I had to use laxatives and all these other things. I mentally trained myself not to eat, basically, and was living off of protein shakes and smoothies, but that doesn't keep weight on you. That
No.
just helps keep some nutrition in you. So what happened, it just went on and on and on. And then by the time that I finally got so bad that I couldn't hide the pain anymore, we went to the ER. That was in early June. Um, I really, I dropped the ball on it, right? I mean, I should have went back in February or March when the first signs hit, and we'd be much further along. And it might not have been it would have been a bad prognosis. The only reason that right now, this second that we're talking, that it's not considered terminal is A, is because I'm still alive. B, I've had this colostomy surgery a couple of weeks ago that you spoke of to bypass the tumor to allow me to eat regular foods and to pass stuff. So I have to untrain myself, right? So I untrain myself to eat. I have these pain tolerance levels that'll probably would kill most people. I mean, I can function on what most people would call a 10 or a 12 on a pain meter. To me, that's a 5 or a 6,
Right.
just because of, how my body operates. And so that operated against me in this particular situation of being able to tolerate pain and stuff like that. So basically, having this surgery put off the word months to live. Um, they basically told me in no uncertain way, shape, or form right before I was getting ready to start my third chemo treatment, they got with the surgeon and they said, Shawn, at your weight level, your nutritional level is not strong enough to withstand the kind of chemo we're giving you. The kind of chemo they're giving me is so caustic that they only do it by a port that straight drips into your aortic valve. And basically, if it gets on skin tissues or surfaces, it'll kill it. It gets harmful to pets and children, even your spouse. You can't use the same bathrooms while you're on this chemo and stuff like that. It's I really have to isolate why I use it because it's really bad. And they said that you can't meet the physical demands of the cancer and the chemo together. And so basically, if you don't do the surgery, it's going to go very quickly. That was her terms, the surgeons. It's not going to take long. She used phrases like that, basically telling me I was going to die pretty quick if I
Yeah.
didn't have the surgery and start eating and put on weight. So now we're at the point of I've got an alarm set literally 3 times a day to remind me to eat because I'm making myself eat something, whether it's a big meal, a small meal, a couple of snacks, just mentally untraining that habit, right? Trying to train it the other way is where I'm at. And from Monday to Friday of this week, I gained like 1.2 pounds. Doesn't sound like much, but when you've done nothing but lost weight for 4 or 5 months,
Yeah.
that's a step.
Yeah. I remember you at the first part of the year when you were starting to lose weight. And, I got to tell you, you still show up, you still come on the shows, you still offer your advice and opinions. And I know that I feel pretty confident that seeing the level of people that show up for you recently has got to be just a wonderful thing, knowing that you're not alone. And I want to see if I can, and you don't have to talk about anything, but when you found out that you had this cancer, I'm sure your wife was with you. She probably encouraged you for 2 or 3 months, before, and you said, no, I'll figure it out, or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
When you got that prognosis, was there a moment of silence, or was there something that happened where you guys just looked at each other and it's like, or, not me, God? Or, I mean, is there anything like that you would be able to
I
share?
would say yes. You have that moment when you're like, for me, it was really just a confirmation of what I already knew. When the prognosis came across. For my wife, I think her being in the medical field for 30 plus years,
Yeah.
she had all these different scenarios worked up in her head, with cancer being the last one on the list. You know, so all of that hope and when it got kind of sucked out of the sales that day, right? And so, we looked at each other, and I just looked right at the doctor when he came in, and I said, "So what you're telling me is I have cancer?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "So what kind of cancer?" And he was like, "Well, I'm an ER doctor. I can just tell you got a mass there, and after consulting with the oncologist, that we're 99% sure that you definitely have some aggressive cancer going on." And that's the thing. This cancer I have is very aggressive. It starts within the actual glands of different organs or muscles, and basically just starts building itself up and then erupts. Is the way it works. And once it erupts, it goes crazy. It's very super aggressive. They wouldn't even hazard a guess on the timeline on my tumor, because they said, Shawn, it could have grown that way in 6 months, or it could have been 2 years because of this kind of cancer. We'd hate to put a timeline on it. Something could have triggered it and it just went nuts, or it could have been slowly building. But they're more along the lines of, it's just that aggressive and it happened that fast, because I went from being fine, eating and drinking and all of those things back in the fall, to over the wintertime starting to have a little something going on, to by early spring not being able to go to the bathroom. So that was pretty quick.
So, you and your wife are looking at each other, talking about whatever the case may be, and Charity, one of the questions she had was, was there a tremendous, overwhelming fear of doom and gloom, or were you brave, or what was your attitude in that moment?
So for me, I get agitated, right, when I don't have answers or when I don't know things, because there's not a whole lot that I don't pick up the phone and somebody knows the answer to if I don't know it. So I'm not a good waiter, shall we say.
I know that's true.
Yeah. And so they were talking about, you have to see these specialists and you got to find out what kind of cancer you got, find out what kind of treatment plan, and that's 30, 60, 90, 120-day thing. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, we've already been through that long. I was like, I might not make it that long. That literally crossed my mind. And so as I was sitting there, and of course my immediate concern is, all right, what's the battle plan? What's the fight plan? So we start making phone calls. We get into an oncologist pretty quickly. Instead of a month, it's a week. And this oncologist takes a keen interest in the case because it's unusual. A, because of the size of the tumor associated with where it's at and the kind of cancer it is, and B, with the rapidness that all of this occurred. So he takes an interest in it, and he's like, oh no, we got to get going on this right away. This guy doesn't have weeks or months to figure it out. I mean, he was like, we're going to start chemo right away and then we'll figure it out. I mean, so this kind of Dr. Patel, Kevin Patel at the Allen Pearson Cancer Center, I give him props for moving things along that would normally take 60, 90, 120 days. From the day I got diagnosed with having some type of cancer to the day I
Sure.
started chemo was 7 weeks. He got the ball rolling in
That's
7 weeks.
pretty fast.
Yeah.
That's incredibly
So
fast.
yeah. So I mean, so basically that's the ball rolling. The first step one is to shrink the tumor. And now step one is eat food and gain some weight. Step one has changed. Now step two is restart chemo next week and begin attacking the tumor again. It's like kind of like starting all over because it's 5 weeks in between treatments. So to me, it feels like starting all over again. Anyway, so it's but yeah, as far as moment of life or death with my wife, yeah, she had that moment later away from me, right? She didn't want me to see how upset she is because she's a nurse and she's a cancer survivor. And she knows just from the associated names, like all cancers have little tag names in them that kind of differentiate, are they fast growing? Are they aggressive? Different things.
Sure.
And she knew by the name that he mentioned that it was a very aggressive cancer. So she already was, very fearful and doubting right out of the gate. And, in a talk further down the road with her, it was, why me, God? I went through raising two kids mostly alone until we got together when they were young teenagers. And I survived cancer. I survived a really bad marriage. And, it took 40 years to find the perfect husband for me. Not that I'm perfect, but she said for her, as far as how everything went. And,
Well, you
how,
also kicked cocaine addiction as well.
oh yeah. I went through all that. That's part of my part. I'm talking about her.
Oh, gotcha.
When she was talking about things that all these things she's gone through, and deficiencies in her life, and then to have to sit around and now, so to speak, the rug being pulled out from under her, because now she has a comfortable life and she doesn't have to worry about is there milk in the refrigerator or does her car have gas in it, like she did for all of these years. She had just taken a medical retirement because of multiple back surgeries in March. So now how does this affect her retirement? All of these things start, I can totally understand her why me, question that she wouldn't ask me because it wasn't me that did it, but that was her biggest thing. And with me, I really never thought about dying. I haven't really thought about dying because until I get to where I can see the ghost coming for me, I won't consider myself dying. I'll be in the fight. You know, by the time that I say I'm going to die, it'll be whoever's standing at my bedside will hear that. It won't be a beforehand thing because I'll never stop fighting.
Well,
And
fighter,
I
you
think,
certainly are.
yeah, I mean, and basically the doctors won't put a number on it, but if you Google it, it says you have a 32 to 43% chance or 33 to 42% chance of living 1 year after diagnosis with the kind of cancer I got. I'm being
You
alive.
shouldn't look at Google, Sean. You shouldn't
Oh yeah,
trust
yeah, no. I mean,
those numbers.
I'm not dwelling on that. But my wife knew those numbers. Then when we're
Yeah.
talking about,
Oh, that doesn't help.
how it affects your home life and your thinking and everything. For me, it's 100% full speed ahead. Stop by for gas it up and change 4 tires every now and then and keep going. So until the motor blows, that's just to be the way it goes.
Is that why you think you're still working and
Oh yeah,
living?
yeah. The doctors and the nurses and everything, they're all like, most people in your condition would be like hospitalized or sitting at home on nutrients or whatever they do. And I was like, well, that would be more of a death sentence for me having to sit still. I'm not good at sitting around the house. Just in the week that I was home for recovery from the surgery, I got a surgery on a Friday, and then by the following Saturday, I actually changed out a couple light fixtures and did some painting around the house. I was just bored. So,
Oh, you're a tough guy, Shawn.
Yeah.
I mean, I got out of
So
hospital on that Monday. Yeah.
at some point in time, you let your children know.
Yes, that was an emotional
Your
call.
your coworkers and me and all the friends that we jointly have together. What now? All the well wishes and loves you and prayers and that came at you
Hmm.
from every angle. Um, and then the moment you shared it with your children, was that like a surreal moment or what
Yeah,
happened?
I mean, it was multiple phone calls because the kids are all spread out. But hey, calling up and going, hey, Dad's got cancer. Is not an easy phone call to make, but you have to make it. And it comes with some good news that there's no hereditary markers on it, so that my children won't have to worry about it. Chasing them down or hunting them down, being something that's a ghost in the machinery, shall we say? you
Good.
know. So I was able to provide that good news as a little bit of a condolence on the other thing. And my kids freak out. Lily, she's seen it happening, so she knows something's wrong, something's going on. But the whole time, but Chris and Heather and Brandon, I'd only seen them in March and April. So I hadn't seen them since April, late April, when I got this news in June. So it'd been there in Charlotte. So it'd been like 6, 8 weeks, right?
Mhm.
And so then, when I tell them, they immediately went to support mode. Oh man, it's gonna be all right, Dad. You got this. You're the toughest dude we know. You're gonna beat this. I mean, just 100%. In support mode right away. I'm sure they had their moments after we got off the phone or whatever. But yeah, I was really proud of them the way they just switched modes.
Yeah, well, they were obviously very proud of you and very supportive of you, and you had a marked impact in their life in a lot of different ways, in their mother's life, and I, 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 I couldn't imagine.
Well, I had a son down there near you in Austin, who was working remotely doing computer software programming, and he was going to move back at the first of the year. He moved back within a couple of weeks to be closer to during the chemo treatments to come up and just hang out and help run the house. Be here next weekend, and he's already come up a couple times. And then Brandon, he's in the military. He's got a really good military career. He's a really successful nuclear engineer, and he just graduated a 2-year program and in the top 5 in his class. So yeah, that was pretty
You're
good.
proud of him, man.
Yeah, and so now he moves into a chemistry program. So he's going to be a 1%er of the 1%ers in the nuclear engineering. So he'll actually be a chemist in the nuclear engineering. So pretty
Wow.
amazing stuff.
Yeah.
I got one daughter, Taylor. She's successful in the insurance industry, and Heather's a radiologist, and Ryan's a manager for Abbott Laboratories, and Chris does he's a Marine and does his nuclear. I mean his computer stuff. So, and then Lily, she's just little. She's precocious, very smart, very pretty. A lot of things going on. Yeah, you too. So yeah, I'm very blessed when it comes to the kids. Yeah.
You can tell it sounds like it. Yeah, it's it kind of makes you with the few instances I had with people real close to me, it makes me pause and sometimes, being on the other end, like your kids love and support you, don't really know what to say. I mean, you don't say, I mean, it's like you need, everybody needs time to process.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been so blessed with everybody that has reached out because we told the kids, we told the family, um, and then my wife's like, well, you got to put something out there on Facebook, on LinkedIn, because a lot of people have been asking. They know something's wrong with you. So that'll just be the quickest way to let everybody know. And then the outpouring of love and support has just been unbelievable. I mean, there's not a day goes by when I don't get fresh messages, whether it's on LinkedIn or whether it's on Facebook Messenger or my emails, my text messaging, I mean, just it's incredible. That mental health check in, you see how I'm doing, and financially, it's a big drain.
Yeah.
No matter whether you make a lot of money or make a little money, you have good insurance, you have bad insurance. Trust me, there's no preparation short of about winning a lottery that can prepare you for the tsunami of medical bills that go up and above and around your insurances at every angles.
And still, I'm sure still going on. I
Oh
know
yeah. Oh
you
no.
had a lot of support from Ted Ings and the Roundtable and
Yeah.
SDF.
Yeah. Ted's been really, really great. He jumped on right away, and he donated his domain FixedOPScares.org to go right to for financial support,
Wow.
and he's made a couple big donations themselves. I can't thank him enough for actually really putting it out there on a public, on the airwaves, so to speak, because he has
Yeah.
such a big reach.
Yeah, he does.
And he calls and checks on me all the time, texts me every other day. So he's a good friend. He's been a really good friend through all of this, and I can't say enough good things about him as far as what he's done for my family. He calls and
Good.
checks. He talks to Robin separately, checks on her. So I mean, I got nothing but good things to say there.
Ted, thank you for what you do for our community and for our struggling men and women out there that have things come up in their life. Your organization has been huge with donations and in-kind support and things like that. So shout out to you, Ted, for all you do. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, and I'm
absolutely.
going to say the website again, which is fixedopscares.com. We'll put it across the
Dot
screen
org.
if you're watching. Oh,
It's
.org.
FixedOPScares.org. Yeah.
We'll put it across the screen for you, Shawn.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Do you have a question?
I'm kind of going through some of these. Well, tell us, Shawn, how do you think you've remained positive through this experience?
I'm just a really positive person. I know that kind of sounds,
That's true.
uh,
Yeah.
that kind of sounds like, oh, well, so everybody says that, but no, I really am. I'm the guy that sees the glass half full, no matter what the circumstances are, or no matter how many pieces something broke into. I think we can find one that we can start to rebuild with, on this puzzle. So, there's not a whole lot. There's always some things that'll, like Michael Moore, our friend, says. He says everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. Old Mike Tyson saying, and it's the truth. But the truth is not. The fact of the matter is, it's not how that what we get hit with or how it affects us, but it's how we respond and how we make our attempts to recover and become better that matter. So I try to focus on the positive and their next first steps, because most people focusing that are negative, that had a bad attitude, they're stuck in the past, man.
Yeah.
They're worrying about stuff that happened yesterday, or Joe did them wrong 10 years ago, or an ex-wife from 20 years ago, or a bad business deal with Russell 5 years ago, whatever it was.
It was 6 years ago, but yeah.
So, people let those things hold their lives back. If you strip all of that away, people don't have anything to be upset about.
Where did that come from, Shawn? That had to be something, because I remember specifically talking with you early in your life when we encountered some of the same challenges. Where does this attitude, where does this reference point, this thought process come from?
I'm never a finger pointer. You've never once heard me blame anybody else or put any responsibility up on anybody else. It starts with there's two things. It's dual fold, and you'll recognize both of these. One is putting other people first, right? If you're busy putting other people first, you don't really have time to worry about your own situation most of the time. And then the other thing is the fact that, life is just what we make of it. And if you're not taking advantages of the opportunity given to you, you'll start blaming others, right? You never hear me blame others or make excuses. So it's my responsibility, right? This cancer wouldn't have been this bad. I still would have had it. But if I'd have reacted in hindsight of 2020, I've known what I know now at the first signs, it wouldn't be near as far along. So shame on me for not doing the research and getting started sooner, right? So I accept responsibility for that. The cancer's in my body. It's my responsibility to do what I can to get it out of there, right? So, but I didn't put it in there, but it's up to me to do what I can to get it out of there. Working with the doctors at this point, it's all in God's hands, right? He knows every number of the hair on our heads and how many beats there is of our heart. So we don't really ever know the answer to that question, and we're not supposed to on purpose by design. So therefore, I just got to keep going every day in doing the next right thing, right? I'm just following directions at this point.
Yeah, Shawn, you mentioned God, and that is that an important part of your life? Is that a
Oh,
grounding part of your life?
absolutely. That's what keeps me grounded. That's the base root for everything that I am. I mean, I wasn't always a good person. I've done a lot of bad things in my life. I made a lot
Yeah.
of poor decisions. I did some people wrong, right? But at some point, I had to let that go and quit letting that anchor weigh me down. And part of that was recognizing what God says. Yes, you are responsible for those things. Can you go back and undo time? No, you can't. But well, all you can do is be the best person you can be going forward. So that's what I try to do.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm sitting here thinking of a thought that this everybody, this reminds me of what Shawn Butler, and most of you who know him are going to probably laugh and think the same thing. So I could see Shawn walking into a room, and in the middle there's two people sitting down, and there's a glass of water that's half empty or half full, and that's actually what they're debating. Shawn walks into the room and he stands there for a moment, listening to these yahoos talking about is it half empty or half full and what that means. And Shawn said, "Screw it." He just picks up the glass and drinks the whole damn thing and keeps walking. Right, Shawn?
That's it. I would have killed it and ended that debate right there. Yep, 100%.
Right?
100%.
Everybody knows that is Shawn
Uh,
Butler right there,
yeah,
man.
we can all agree it's empty at this point, right? All right, debate over. Let's move on. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I wouldn't have a problem doing that for sure.
So one of the things I heard you say is if you were watching the signs, you would have been. And I got to tell you, I'm saying this out loud. I think I know what your response is going to be, but I'm not 100% sure. But I'm 64 years old, and I have these little aches and pains that used to be really bothersome, and I think I just got better at dealing with the pain threshold of what I feel sometime. And I know, especially about my relationship with God, and me owning my own side of the street and staying in my own lane, and obviously putting other people first. Those are really pivotal things. But it's like uh, I don't want to acknowledge certain things at certain times. Like, so I really damaged my rotator cuff not too long ago. I'm getting up on a slide with my oldest granddaughter. It's 3 stories high at some water park. Okay.
Not a good idea.
Yeah. Bad idea. And so I reached out, I started slipping, I reached out, and I thought I just pulled a little muscle or something like that. No. So anytime I try to do something, because all the kids and grandkids live real close, right? I said, "No, Papa, no, I'll do that for you. You just sit down. Let me do it for you." But I don't want to let go of, no, I can do it. I got this. I can do this, or I can fix that, or I can be this or be that. Now there's certain things going on right now because of the things that I've watched you go through that I'm actually, I got the paperwork right here, so I can go in and get a few things checked out because, I know something's not right. I just don't know what it is. And I keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And because of you, I'm not putting it off.
That's great. That's good. I've said all along that if I could change just one life or save one family from going through this experience by making my fight public and my missteps of not listening and not being proactive. If it's just one person, then if it says one family down the road, then no matter what my outcome is, then all of this will be worth it.
Absolutely. I also want to reflect back on an early thought I had during the SDL before the first live event, as I was getting to know everybody, and how pre-pandemic, which is where I met Shawn and all these amazing people. And I'm not a fixed guy. Yeah, I got a company that caters towards fixed operations, but I never used that forum as a pitch. Okay. I wanted to learn and absorb as much as possible. And Shawn and many others took me under their wings and kind of accepted me as kind of a family. And you think I'm kidding? Okay. Being a variable guy on the sales side, fixed people, they're a little bit different breed. It takes time. It takes some time. And if you keep showing up and showing up and showing up and you're not pitching something, then they accept you into that fold. And when they do, it's an amazing established friendship and camaraderie that I never felt on the variable side. Okay. And so Shawn, one day early on, very early on in SDL, had shared about his addiction and the things that he was involved with back then. And it was very eye-opening for me that he was that transparent. And a lot of people in that room are, but that was extremely transparent. And it gave a lot of other people belief, particularly early on, because of the experience that he has. Hey, if I can overcome that shit, you can too. Because now you're a fixed ops director in a Umansky Automotive Group, overseeing an Acura, Mazda, and a Honda store quite successfully too. So thank you for sharing that, because some people need to hear that kind of stuff. They need to understand that they're not unique. That we all have shared experiences like that. And when other people have too, which is one of the purposes of this, don't wait, which is why I'm not. And that would be one of your messages, I'm sure.
It is
checked out.
Not waiting and being proactive is as far as, with the medical stuff, when you go back to what you're talking about with addictions and being a criminal and all of these things, after some time had passed and I finally came to grip with I got sick of myself, as they say, and finally got a grip on everything. Yeah, I shared that whole experience because I didn't want somebody else, if I could help, to go through it. So I have learned over the last 4 or 5, maybe 6 years that for some reason or another, sometimes I get some reach with some people on certain subjects, and other people will get a hold of it and they'll share and they'll talk about it. And it keeps hitting certain points with different people, and it just keeps growing for months at a time. I've had this happen several times with several different things that hit a button with people. And I wanted to hit a button for the right reasons. Never negativity or anything that's harmful to any other person or somebody's business or livelihood. None of those things. We're about positivity and getting together. I'm not the guy that runs out and hugs trees. I drive a gas guzzling Tundra. But when it comes to other people, I like seeing other people successful and doing well. Whatever that means to them. If it's money, great. If it's education, great. If it's recognition, great. As long as you're getting what feeds your fire, I think that's awesome.
Good deal.
Yeah, that's what makes you a great leader, Shawn.
It is. And one of the questions we had is, are you still working? And that's pretty obvious because you're in the office right now.
You're at work right now. I don't know how you're doing that, by the way.
Yeah, on Friday afternoon at 3:00. I'm getting ready to leave here in about a minute and a half. Soon we wrap this bad boy up.
Well, we are going to wrap it up. And I wanted to say something in closing. Charity, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, I just want to tell everybody the website again. It's really incredibly helpful, and it's a good way to support Shawn. It's FixedOPScares.org. And again, I'll share that with this, Shawn.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Shawn, for your time, for your experience, for being vulnerable. And this is going to air at the end of October. And Charity wrote this here. Is there anything that you'd say then that you haven't said now?
Yeah. In case something goes sideways, and I'm not here. I just want my wife and my kids and everybody to know I love them very much. And thanks everybody for their support leading up to this.
Shawn.
Thank you so much, Shawn.
Yeah, thank you. The lives that you impacted, my life, Charity's life. You just met Patrick. I know this is going to be an amazing for him, and all the love and support out there. Everybody continue to prayers and love and support for Shawn and his family, and because you've touched so many people in so many amazing ways, and we're a few of those people. So thank you very much for coming on today, and thanks everybody. Be sure and tune in and like and love and share and reach out to Shawn and give and support and encourage, because that's the community that we're in. So thank you all for another WTF. We appreciate it. Love you,
Thank
Shawn.
you, Shawn.
Thank you.